Hi, my name's Woodruff Gall, and today I'll be talking a little bit about the ISTE standards for educators, the International Society for Technology and Education. I'll be judging myself and ranking myself for each of the 7 different standards, and then I'll be talking a little bit on how this can influence and affect my students and their learning outcomes, and then also ponder some ways that I can improve each of these standards. So, before I even look at these standards, my feeling is that I'm going to be scoring very low in all of the areas, and this is based exclusively on my lack of education of using technology in the classroom and my reliance on sticking with the techniques that I'm already comfortable with. So let's look here. There are 7 different ISTE standards, as I mentioned. The first is learner. So I would probably rate myself as a 2 in this category. I do not often actively seek out learning opportunities for myself regarding technology in the classroom. The 2 clear exceptions to this are my attendance currently in the Moreland class that I'm attending, and also completing any school-mandated professional development. So one way that I would like to improve in this area is by setting some concrete goals to pursue, and I'm particularly interested in participating in global learning networks and organizations. So the next one is leader. I think I would probably rank myself a 1, because I don't think I can rank myself a 0, and I don't think that I can be leading any technology. And yet the reading of this standard category, it makes me feel a little insecure. So I'd probably be more comfortable as a follower. However, I do have some experience using both Seesaw and Microsoft Teams to enhance open conversations with parents. While I don't feel anywhere near ready to model anything for my colleagues, I'm more than happy to participate in meetings and discussions to find out more ways of technology integration in my classroom. So the next standard is citizen, and I feel like I'd probably also be a 1 in this one. I feel like I'm barely a tech citizen myself, so how could I possibly be showing good citizenship for my students? So now, looking over the subcategories of this standard, and especially the commentary from other stakeholders in my class, I'm beginning to understand my personal capacity in this area a bit better. Though I completely agree with the importance of teaching digital awareness and understanding, in my current classroom, I don't have many opportunities to impress this upon my students. They're primary students, and we aren't doing much exploration with computers and technology. The one area I do think I can continue to support good citizenship in is with the online communication platform that my school has implemented. So through the use of Microsoft Teams, our students are free to communicate and share information with teachers and other student groups. So we have some school-wide rules and standards for appropriate sharing, and I support those and can continue to impress upon my students that they're important methods of online behavior. The next standard is as a collaborator. So I really value my abilities as a collaborator, and I'm going to give myself a 3 in this standard. So this is something that I'm not utilizing much currently in my classroom, but I feel I have worked on in different ways in the past and can continue to implement in the future. I always attend departmental, divisional, and all-school meetings and agree that these are good opportunities for facilitating collaboration. So when I'm working with other students, I'm always soliciting their advice regarding technology and encouraging them to assist each other. And I fully endorse using apps or software that the students are already familiar with and trying to figure out ways that we can incorporate them into our projects. Additionally, I have facilitated collaborations with my previous students and students from other schools, but not virtually. So I am intrigued by the possibilities of this. Also, I'm very effective at understanding and behaving appropriately with the different cultural backgrounds of my students, their parents, and my many colleagues. The next standard is as a designer. So I think that I'm probably going to fall back down on this run here, and I most definitely am looking at another low 1 ranking at this one probably. Okay, well, I am adept at using certain technologies in the classroom to enhance student learning. My PPTs are engaging and fun and full of pictures and music. However, I don't have the experience of using the different AI tools that are mentioned on our classroom Padlet here. I'm very interested in finding out more ways to use digital tools for my students to view other performances and also critique each other's work. Now, one use of AI technology that I have tried is using ChatGPT for writing scripts. However, in my experiment with it, I was trying to adapt a script from a short book and found that it had produced something that wasn't useful for our purposes, and I needed to rewrite the entire script myself. The next standard is as a facilitator. So I'm going to give myself a 3 in this standard. I'm historically a great facilitator. I always have my students create their own goals and have utilized the flipped classroom idea in my lesson plans before. I really like the idea of an e-portfolio for my students' work, which would be really helpful in preparing them for college applications. And I'm not sure how to help my students use a design process and computational thinking for my classroom, so I would need to research that a bit more. And then finally, the last standard for the ISTE standards for education, for educators, is as an analyst. And for the final standard, I'm going to give myself a 2. I am encouraging of alternative projects rather than standard essay reflections. I find these allow my students to be more creative and expressive in their responses. And due to the nature of my class, I'm not sure how to use any tools that could assist with assessments. So now I'm going to be looking a little bit at how this is going to affect my students' learning outcomes. I'm not overly surprised or particularly upset about some of my low ratings that I've given myself on these standards. To that end, how are my students' learning objectives and learning outcomes affected by this? My current students, as I'd mentioned, are primary-aged learners, and I only meet with them once a week. So, at the offset, I don't think there will be many areas for improving outcomes by implementing more advanced ISTE standards in my classroom. However, I can percolate some ideas for use with older students, and I'm very excited to think about ways of improving my current classroom. So now I'm going to speculate on improving ISTE standards in my classroom. Our school, as I mentioned, has implemented the use of Microsoft Teams for communication between students and teachers, for sharing documents, videos, etc. And I feel like I've only scratched the surface for this tech tool and think that there could be a myriad of ways that my students could post work and reflect on one another's progress. So that is one way that I would like to continue to improve. Another, I have been a member of a lot of different theatrical groups in the past and understand their use value when looking for resources. I believe that by joining some global drama education organizations, I could foster the sharing of ideas between my students and others around the world. In order to review a student's performance, I can have them record a short video using Flipgrid for homework, and then I can watch them after class and give them detailed feedback on it. Another idea is to use speech articulation technology to help improve a student's speech patterns. It can save a lot of time rather than meeting with every student individually, and I could have students use it on their own as well. So I'm very interested in providing video and audio examples for my students to have them view both in class and at home. And lastly, as I'd mentioned before, I really like the idea of having them create e-portfolios for their work, which will be setting them up for success as they apply later for college applications. Thank you very much for listening today to my ramblings here on the ISTE standards for educators. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. I don't think I could lead someone in how to do one of these. I don't think that I... Try that again.